Hello, I'm TinyPirate. Welcome to a Let's Play of Rule the Waves. If you're looking at your screen now, you are probably wondering what on earth you're looking at. And you could be mistaken for thinking you're looking at industrial control software for maybe a mechanized lathe or something. That would not be out of the ordinary. Mechanized lathes do actually have control software which looks like this, but no, you are in fact looking at a game about running a fleet at the turn of the century, 1900, not this last century, the one before. In 1900, the world was in an interesting state. There weren't obviously massive air forces out there dominating combat, but there were a lot of very large fleets, and the race to build massive fleets was a really big part of the industrialization and militarization of the world back then, prior to World War One. And there were some really interesting things that happened back then. So technology was developing so fast that ships under construction could often be outdated and obsolete by the time they were finished. And at the same time, the world was ratcheting up in tension. Queen Victoria's great plan for world peace by getting all the monarchs of Europe to marry each other didn't work. And if you've been to any family reunion, you can probably understand why that would be. And on the other hand, you had interesting things like the world powers were being challenged by places like China, Japan, and that is the setting we find ourselves. And we start in this game as Admiral Togo, running the Imperial Japanese Navy. And the Japanese Navy is in an interesting state. Has a bunch of battleships, and cruisers and destroyers, and has spent really the last 40 years the last 60 years or so, coming out of a period of isolation. Japan spent a couple hundred years totally isolated, or trying to be totally isolated from the West. And from about 1840 onwards, that era ended, and Japan raced headlong into catching up with the rest of the world. So why am I playing this obscure game in this really sort of dated interface, where there's lots of kind of bizarre pop-ups and what have you? And the reason is, I love a good strategy game. I just really enjoy interesting games with interesting decisions. And this game has some fascinating decisions and some really interesting balancing work and planning and foresight you have to put into it. So I'm going to give you a let's play of it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time drilling through every single menu item for you, which I think would probably drive all but the most hardened wargamer pretty nuts. I'll try and give you highlights, a kind of a potted history of my game as I play it. A few pictures will be chucked in along the way, try and make it a bit interesting. Hope you enjoy it. So let's take a look at our situation. Japan has recently, in recent history in the real world, beaten China in a war around the fate of North Korea and the fates of Northern Asia. And in the end it lost its possessions that it thought it won through some deal, which I won't go into at length. But the point is, it has unresolved issues with Japan. Japan has unresolved issues with Russia and unresolved issues with China. And at the same time, tension bar over here shows that not too much in the pocket of the US either. In particular, some issues as well with the UK. Well, that's not showing on the tension bar over the future of China and so on. And down here, there's some interesting things. Japan has a colony here in Formosa, nowadays called Taiwan, and it has some issues to think about. No oil. No oil is currently available to Japan. And we're in the age of steamships. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on down here, so you know. So prestige is how famous our admiral is. Currently 20 is pretty good. Tonnage on foreign stations. We have enough ships in the rest of these areas, our foreign areas. So here, for example, we have enough ships. We've got one ship here to satisfy the needs of having some kind of colonial presence. And that may be an issue as we play the game. Dock size. Don't have great big docks. How much money have we got? Probably not enough to expand. No, 3.2 million. Unrest. Not very arrestive, the Japanese population at present, which is good. And we have no restrictions on what we can build. No naval treaties. Here's our budget. Bottom line is we have 1.3 million monthly balance to play with. We're building a bunch of ships right now, and we're maintaining a bunch of ships. I'll show you that in a second. And we're doing some research. I'm going to bump that research number up to 10%. Japan has a natural advantage in researching torpedoes. So I want to take real extra advantage of that by increasing the priority on torpedoes to high. And light forces and torpedo warfare, high. Let's make these real big priorities. Let us drop... Well, I can't do everything, so... Let's lower the division and lower... I don't know. Armor-piercing projectiles. There we go. That'll keep it about even, hopefully. So that's going to be our research focus, leaving us with... yeah, not a great deal of money to mess with. Over here we can raise intelligence on people. I'm going to put a little bit into... what's going up here? A little bit into Russia. And a little bit into... maybe France. No, maybe I'll just leave it at that for now. Russia's been the traditional enemy of Japan at this period. So let's talk about the ships we have in service. We have half a dozen battleships, armoured cruisers, light cruisers, and a bunch of destroyers. So you're going to see a couple of pictures pop up. First of all, the Yashima class, pretty substantial battleship. And on these pictures here, we can see, on these in-game pictures, we can sort of see the layout of the ship. Got 12-inch guns, bunch of whole 6-inch guns, reasonably fast battleship, 19 knots, not too bad. Reasonably armoured, I would say. And has some torpedo tubes, which was pretty common on battleships back then. Don't know if if that carried over. It would seem a bit of a waste on a battleship. You don't want to be getting that close to people. Back then, though, they did get into pretty serious fleet fights. So the next sort of ship we have is the Izumo armoured cruiser. This one has a bunch of 8-inch guns, not too bad. 20 knots, reasonable speed. Some torpedo tubes again, and I'd say reasonable armour. Probably not much for an armoured cruiser. Our light cruiser is particularly light, a bunch of 4-inch guns. The 4-inch guns aren't even in turrets on the Izumi class, which makes them pretty vulnerable to any fire. Not much armour at all, very light. Probably pretty cheap to make, but yeah, it's not going to go very far. The Onubi class is a bit smaller again, but this one is a bit... it has a reasonable number of turrets. All of them are in... all of the guns are in turrets here, 5-inch guns and turrets. I quite like this. It's not a bad class at all. A little bit more armour in the conning tower and other places than the Izumi class, but it's not too unreasonable. And then we have a bunch of destroyers. They're pretty much just torpedo boats. We don't need them to do much except have torpedoes, throw them at the enemy. So what is going to be our strategy? Well, first of all, we have some battleships being built, which is great. Heisen class, Azuma class. And we have some heavy cruiser being built as well of the Izumo class, which is, again, a continuation of what we've been building. Where are these being constructed? In America and Great Britain. So we don't want to be annoying these countries. They might impound or seize or stop ship construction. That would be not great. It's also worth pointing out that our ships here are, a couple of them are long range, which is awesome. Only one of which, actually, the non long range one is off on coastal patrol. Also on colonial duties. A bunch of these destroyers are, well, all of the destroyers are cramped accommodations. That's the A, and a few of them are short range at that. That kind of makes sense. You probably use them for coastal patrol. They're not going that far, so it doesn't matter if they're cramped. But what are we going to do in the future? What's our plan? I'm thinking some minesweepers would be a good idea. Let us auto-generate. Senpai class. Notice me, Senpai. Sorry, I've been watching a bit too much strange Japanese dating games. Don't question it. Auto-design. Senpai class. What have we got here on our little minesweeper? Very small price, $500,000. Very light. Medium range. Normal accommodations. Couple of 3-inch guns. It's pretty fine. More ammo would probably... Whoops, more ammo is probably a good idea. Hopefully they never see combat. No secondary guns. Perfect. Great. Think that's fine. Tiny. Okay, check it. Ammo allowance is on the low side. Alright, well, the computer designed it. Don't blame me. 200. All alright, let's put it right up. Okay, these boats are going to be... Okay, Senpai class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 of them. Oh, look at that, cheap. How many? 12 is all we can build because we've only got so much space in the shipyards. Yeah. Okay. Developing it costs 60,000. Great. Got a whole bunch of light minesweepers. They're classed as minesweepers. I don't really know if we had mines to worry about. Definitely inshore patrol boats. And they're just going to be, in times of war, doing coastal patrol, which will help keep the raiders down. Now, training. Want to put people into torpedo warfare. Oh, wow. That's expensive. That is expensive. We don't have it. No, we don't. We don't have anywhere near that. Let's not worry about that. And so with that, we hit turn. Cool, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of our minesweepers are done. Wow, our intelligence reports that our guns are more superior to Italian guns of the same caliber. That's good to know. And Russia is building a bunch of ships. Great, so now our ships start working up. Which means that, well, the crew practice, get ready, train. And the other one's commissioned. Great. One of our cruisers has run aground on the shore of a minor nation while performing an illicit intelligence operation. They threaten to impound our ship. What is our reaction? Demand they release the ship and send a strong squadron to underline the point. Prestige and tension. Yes. Sincere apologies. Never. Let them examine the ship. You gotta be kidding me. Demands. Ooh. Wow, our scientists report they're currently baffled by the problems of destroyer up to 600-ton displacement. Wow. In here, France has 4 battleships, 1 cruiser, 4 destroyers. Whew. Okay. So, quite tempted to move from Northeast Asia to Southeast Asia. Maybe a couple of battleships. And quite like that heavy cruiser. And we'll give them a couple of Anibis as well. And we'll send some destroyers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that'll send the right kind of message. Turn. Spy from Great Britain has been discovered. Budget and denounce the aggressive policies of Great Britain. Well, we don't have a war with them yet. So let's get that budget increase by denouncing a spy. Fine, no problem. Italy's building a lot of destroyers. We have 19 million. Cruiser Tokawa. Cool, that's the ones that are being built. The Prime Minister's made a foreign policy gaffe. Smooth things over. Bland statement. Divert attention by criticizing the adventurous foreign policies of, well, if I want a war right now with Russia, we could do that. Yes, Russia is a dangerous, dangerous country. Right, weight saving, crop armor. It is definitely time to think about building something powerful to face the Russians. So the Russian fleet, if I click on the Russians, I can see the kind of ships they've got. So a whole bunch in Northern Europe. Let's have a look at their most recent ships. Battlecruiser Voyn. Building, can't tell what it is yet. Destroyer Iskonsny. 28 knot destroyer. That's pretty normal. Battleship 4 12-inch, 7.5-inch belt. Wow, that's a lot of belt, but nothing else. So I'm just checking out what kind of ships they've got. How fast is it? 17 knots. That's slow. What about their armoured cruisers? 19 knots and unarmoured mini turrets there. 20 knots. Light cruiser. 21 knots. And their destroyers. 28 knots. That's pretty normal for a destroyer. 21 knots. So relatively slow fleet. Time for us to think about building something a bit bigger. And I think with this amount of money coming in, we can afford to definitely build something useful. So the Japanese at the time were trying for a 6 battleship, 6 heavy cruiser, 6 cruiser, 6 battleship, 6 destroyer. No, 666 navy. Sounds terribly satanic. I think that progress in the destroyer space is a big clue for us that we should build a destroyer. Okay, so the Pikachu class destroyer is designed, comes in just shy of 600 tons. It can do 27 knots. 28 knots possible? No, too heavy. It has 4 sets of torpedo tubes, pretty great. 2 guns there. Maybe we can get rid of a couple of guns here. Get it up to 28 knots. Oh, maybe we just get rid of all of those guns. We did get rid of all of those guns. Oh, so close. Okay, 28 knots. I think that will do. Needs more gun rounds per gun thingy bobby. Great, lots of guns. 4 torpedo tubes. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 2 swivel. So at any one time, 3 torpedoes out each side. That's pretty great for a destroyer, I reckon. And it's not too expensive. Nearly 2 million. Quite cheap. Pretty quick, as fast as all the Russians. It's cramped, but that's okay. And its engine is built for speed. Not terribly reliable. Cramped accommodation, that's fine. Let's save. Okay. We want to go to the build dialogue. It's going to cost 1.9 million all up. 160,000. Let's build 6 of these Pikachus. 10 of these Pikachus, why not? Yep, development fees. Okay, it's going to take 10 months to build those. What brings next turn? Cruiser's finished. Fire control advances. Great, rangefinder improvements, excellent. And still... Ooh, Russia's moving ships in. A whole bunch of destroyers, cruiser, battleship, light cruiser. Okay, that's okay. We could take all of those ships without a problem. Tensions are ratcheting up with Germany and France. And Heisen is completed. We have a pretty substantial fleet in service now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 battleships. A few of them in Southeast Asia. A lot of them are in Asia though. We're fine. A couple of them are working up. Training. Gunnery. Torpedo training. Can we afford that? Apply. 12 months. Okay, we're sinking quite a lot into training, but if you see a fight with these ships, they miss all the time. A few hits would be a really big deal. Submarines! We've built pressure hulls for submarines. We can't build submarines yet, but that's pretty neat. And as we enter summer of 1901, spy from Great Britain. I don't mind annoying the Brits so far for a bit more money. And we have an absolute ton of money here. Let's design a ship. I think it's definitely time to look at a new cruiser. So this new cruiser should be a long-range cruiser. Let's give it an auto design. Okay, I'm happy with our next cruiser design. This is the Pocky. Yes, I am going to work through every possible Japanese word I know as we name these ships. This one has a whole bunch of 6-inch turrets, nicely scattered around the ship, so we can pretty much get a 5-turret, 5-gun broadside on any one. It goes pretty quicker than the Russian light cruisers, and it's got normal accommodation. Engine's just kind of built normally. It's got armor, not a great deal, but it is only a light cruiser. Not too bad at all. Squeeze some more ammo on there. Running out of ammo is a very real possibility. That is very close. Very close. Wow. Maybe let's drop the conning tower. I want to have a little bit of room for maneuver on the weight. Otherwise you can end up with an overweight ship. They build it and it comes out too heavy for the displacement. Doesn't perform as well. So we're giving ourselves a little bit of room there. Okay, I think that one is good. I'm not going to bother with colonial service or making it longer range. That adds a lot of weight. We just don't have the skill to build those big ships yet. Okay. Yes. Yes, build dialogue. So, Pocky. It's going to cost us 800 to build a month. That's not too bad at all. And only 19 million each makes them quite a bit cheaper than others. But still a pretty substantial improvement over some of the other ships there. All those turreted 6-inch guns. So we're going to try and build 5 of them because we do have enough reserves. 24 months. Okay, lay those ships down. Okay, costs a bunch to develop them. Now we'll start losing money. And our battleship has finished working up. Great, and we've got some problems delivering. Okay, one of the things that we haven't talked about is the fact that if you build ships, you can design ships that you can't actually build and then tell a partner navy to go off and build them. So you can hire companies in America or Great Britain to build ships for you, and as long as they're not at war with you, they're pretty happy to do so. Oh, brilliant. And for example, you get technology. So the Azuma, which was built in America, giving us valuable insight into how America builds ships. Great. The US government is offering to sell us the rights for improved technology. Yes. Yes, let us buy rivets. Hull construction. Advanced riveting technique. 1% saving on hulls. Great. Oil has been discovered in Egypt. We have nothing to do with Egypt. That's a shame. Oh no. A destroyer's blown up. Saboteurs from Russia. Dastardly act cannot remain unavenged. This means war. Okay, we are at war. And we've got this new explosive bursting charge. Brilliant. War declared. We're at war with Russia. Because we're Japan, we get to launch a surprise attack. Our enemy, Russia. We have 9 battleships, a heavy cruiser, a light cruiser, 7 destroyers, and some light torpedo boats, or minesweepers. And they have a whole bunch of destroyers and light cruisers, but we outnumber them pretty substantially. Brilliant. And here we go. This is the battle interface. Again, lathe-like software. So these ships here are all under computer control because I'm running this in Admiral class, Admiral settings. I'd like to claim that I am a hardcore realistic type wargamer guy and I require all of my battles to accurately reflect the Admiral's lack of control over the battle. But what I will admit to instead, don't tell anyone, is that I'm actually kind of terrible at this map interface wargame bit, and I'd rather the AI have a go at it because I think it can probably do a lot better. So we've got to sink 2 ships. This is Port Arthur and Dalney, which if we zoom out, oh, you can see it's there. And we have other ships kicking around, but these are the ones in the battle right now. So what have we got here? 2 destroyer flotillas and an unknown ship there. We have our cruisers out front, light cruisers that are screening. I think that's what it'll be doing. Yep. And then here, our battleship line. And what I would like to do is, since we can actually control this one, is tell it to go that way. And what's going to happen now is we can turn by turn see what happens. Let me see if I can increase the speed to 18 knots and run for 5 turns. Okay, are you guys going to take on that unknown ship? Overheating. High revolution bearings. Okay, let's just slow down a bit. They're holding fire, they don't know who that is. It is nighttime, so one of the Japanese special abilities is that we can attack at night when we launch a war. So if we declare war, off we go at night. Dawn is in 7 hours. And the problem is though that, well, night battles are pretty tough. So we're just going to send our fleet this way. Destroyer Hokazi discovers an unidentified ship. Investigate destroyers. No. 2 unidentified ships. Come on, this way, our boys. Unknown ship, unknown ship. Whoa, okay. Open fire reports. So what you can see here is the splashes around, smoke from behind the ships. Destroyer heavy cruiser. Wow, okay, you guys are brave. Open fire. Okay, what have we got? Oh. Let's have a look. It's all looking... Wow, that's the main fleet. So, this guy... Oh, structure and flotation. He's getting smashed. It's our destroyer being smashed. They have... big battleships. 12-inch guns. Oof. Destroyer, light cruiser. Still pretty substantial. Without our big ships, these destroyers are going to be in trouble. Okay, we've got an actual torpedo launch here, finally. Hey, we hit someone with a torpedo! Hit by torpedo. Brilliant. Destroyer. Wow, great. Maybe not the best thing we want to hit. Gonna try and send the fleet over here to kind of regroup. We've discovered a merchant ship there, and the light cruiser here landed a lot of hits on it. Yeah, he's still pinging away. Let's move forward. Okay, it looks like we sunk a couple of ships. I don't know which. I suspect... Yeah, there was a transport over here that this cruiser just ate up. Nothing else was there. Ate it up all on its own. And maybe over here that destroyer sunk. Okay, so, wow, right. Heisen fired at the Biani class hit, and... Oh, okay, Oami fore aft hit. How is this thing doing? A little bit of structure, not too bad. What are you like? Don't know what you're like. I'm hoping you're taking damage. It might be time to cut our losses and order a kind of general retreat. I think we can... Yeah, let's head back to Korea. Off you go. Save yourselves. Don't sink. I don't want to lose a battleship this early in the game, because then I'd have to say, you sunk my battleship, and I'd sound like an egg. And we're forming up into a proper battle line. Scenario is over. Okay, so what did we do? What did we lose? We lost a destroyer. That's a shame. We took some heavy damage on a destroyer. Battleship, light damage. Heavy cruiser, undamaged. Light damage on a few things. That's not too bad. We sunk a couple of ships. So what did we sink? One minesweeper. So basically a light patrol boat. And a transport. That's kind of terrible. Heavy damage to a couple of ships. Medium damage to a few more. So... minor victory for Japan on the first day of the war. Okay, I'm okay with that. Great, start of a victory. Okay, with that battle complete, you get an idea of the game. If you're interested in purchasing the game, then you should check out the Rule the Waves page, which will be linked in the description below. The game runs at $35 from NWS. I warn you now that visiting their website is a little bit like time traveling back to the 1990s, complete with Yahoo e-commerce. And if you do buy it for $35, you will find that they will mail you the key next time they get to their computers, which may take a day. Usually it's pretty quick. But I just want to warn you, it is like shopping in the 1990s, so if you feel nostalgic, definitely go pick up this game. It's been a lot of fun. Interesting decisions to be made all the way through it. Quite engaging for what looks like a lathe simulator. I've been TinyPirate. This has been a Let's Play of Rule the Waves. If you would like your name featured in the game, drop me a comment below. Perhaps you could help me also by coming up with some class names for ships. Pretty quickly running out of Japanese words here. As always, love your comments, love your feedback, subscribe, and catch me in the next episode. Goodbye.